You see right there where we could have a little bit of spin. It's tough to see on the radar. It's tough to see on our velocity product. What we also use as a little detector of where rotation could be is what we call our correlation coefficient, which is our debris tracker too. And we could get a good look at this, Sam, and see what we see. Well, we don't like to see that, do we? That certainly could mean something on the ground. And again, what this basically tells us is it's anything that's not uniform raindrops. It's a little bit anything that's not just rain. Could be hail, could also be debris on the ground from, say, grass or leaves or dirt. And you can see this is Congress right here. So if you're in the Congress area, certainly right along 604, this is 83 and 604. There's West Salem, also probably getting some rain coming your way as well. But if you're in the Congress area, get to your safe spot right now. Again, get as many walls between you and the storm as possible. Stay away from windows. Don't try to go out and take pictures or anything like that. Get to your safe spot. There's Smithville there. That's 83, as I mentioned, 604. There's the town of Burbank as well. We're talking Medina and Wayne counties here. Tornado warning in effect until 7:30. That's why we're on the air right now breaking in. It's been a 19 first alert weather day. We issue alert days based on weather that could impact you, and certainly with a possible tornado on the ground, we want to let you know what's going on. We're zooming in here pretty tight. Again, what we're looking for here is a little bit of a sign based on our velocity product of any type of spin. We're not seeing anything classic, but it's something we talked about earlier. There could be spin ups along this entire line. So it's really important throughout this area to get to your safe spot. And again, this storm is moving 40 miles per hour. So it's moving fast. The threat will be over relatively quickly, and you'll be able to get back out and do what you were doing, but just let this thing pass. Look at all the lightning here as well, Sam. Do we have anything as far as stuff from our information from the Weather Service or spotters or anything like that? Any new information?
Yeah, so still radar indicated, nobody reporting any ground truth at this time, Jason, but they are noting some extra shear in the area. So that's kind of contributing to that as these storms move in an atypical direction, right? Everything in this pattern is either moving from east to west or it's moving from south to north, which is not something that happens every day with our precip here. So we're in an environment with this thunderstorm where there's some rotation of the winds with heights. You get that turning of the winds, and that's why the Weather Service has opted for this warning. It's still in effect until 7:30. We're getting new scans pretty consistently here. This is the exact same, almost the exact same area, Jason, where we had that tornado warned storm last week. I believe it was Tuesday. Northern Wayne, southern Medina, so kind of the same area. And it looks like they are going to continue that tornado warning until 7:30 unless something changes here with a new radar scan we're awaiting. So if you're in Seville, Chatham, especially if you're in Congress, there's our new radar scan. You really want to hunker down and wait until this passes. Be sure you're in your safe spot, lowest level of your home, most interior space, putting as many walls between yourself and the outside of your house as you can.
Yeah, good information there, Sam. Again, we're on the air here, breaking into programming, tornado warning in effect. This is from Medina and Wayne County. To get specific, we're talking about central and northern Wayne County and then into central and southern Medina County. And it's unusual to see a polygon. That's that little red area that's got the white highlight. It's unusual to see a polygon that looks like that. Because the storm motion, typically when we talk about any type of severe weather here in northern Ohio, normally it's stuff that might move northwest to southeast or west to east or southwest to east. Is that west to east? In this particular case, around this big pesky area of low pressure, it's actually in the other direction, from the south moving north. And this looks like basically due north here. So unfortunately, what you don't like to see, we never like to see any type of severe weather, but when you talk about Interstate 71, when you talk about 76, when you talk about 224, we've got a lot of folks right now likely traveling on 71. And unfortunately, when we talk about a tornado possibly crossing over a very busy interstate where it just looks, and in this case, it's probably got a lot of rain with it too. It's rain wrapped. So it looks like just a wall of rain and folks are driving through. Sometimes that can add an additional hazard as well. Seek shelter, yeah, great information here. I mentioned the towns of Creston and Seville. We'll add Chippewa Lake to that. Now, thankfully, well, not thankfully, but we're not in the middle of summer. We're during the week here. Otherwise, and the weather was not great today at all. If that's a little bit of a blessing. Otherwise, Chippewa Lake would be packed with folks. So hopefully the weather today kept a lot of folks inside, because that's not a great place at all to be during severe weather, during a possible tornado warning. So here we go. The leading edge of this thing now is moving into far northern Wayne County and eventually here into Medina County. Right now, Medina, you have time. All right, and it looks like the worst will probably be west of 71. So we're talking downtown Medina is there, west side of Medina. We'll see though. I would have a tendency to think that this storm will likely lean a little bit, Sam, lean a little bit west, I would think, just based on the big trajectory of this low. Now this polygon does have it due north, but we'll likely watch the left side of this cone a little bit more. Friendsville, all right, that's a new one for me, 727. Lafayette Township, 741. Mallet Creek, 754. Abbeville, and then Brunswick. Well, Brunswick, you're saying, well, Brunswick is not, nor is Mallet Creek or Abbeville. They are not under this warning. It's just an indication of where this storm is heading, and that would be northern Medina County. New information from our friends at the Weather Service. They issue these warnings. We issue alert days, but they issue the warnings. The storm is slowing down a little bit, moving north still at 25 miles per hour. I wish it would move faster, but the good news is it does give folks in and around Medina, which certainly is the most populated area here when you talk about this storm, gives them a little bit more time to get to their safe spot, and also gives us time to really analyze the storm as well to see if we really have something that's worth potentially touching down. So again, this warning is until 7:30, so we've got another 13 minutes. I would be surprised if they didn't reissue it. And it looks like they have here, Sam, with another polygon, right?
Yeah, they're seeing spin basically all along this line, it looks like. So this newest tornado warning is in effect until 8 for parts of Ashland County, far southern Lorain, and then extreme western Medina County, now under a new tornado warning until 8 o'clock. So if you are in parts of Ashland County, and I'll zoom in here, they just issued this like moments ago. This just came out. I'm going to switch over to a more common radar type that we show you, where you're just seeing the rain and not the thunderstorms, so or not the wind. So I want to give you an idea of where this new warning is. And this is a new tornado warning for West Salem, Sullivan, that's down in Ashland County, Homer. This basically stops at Wellington and Penfield in Lorain County. So new tornado warning if you are south of Wellington, south of Penfield, down here around Homer, Sullivan, West Salem. You were already under that warning. We've got this new one issued, and then surrounding communities here. I mentioned Sullivan. Seek shelter immediately. New tornado warning in effect until 8 o'clock, and then we've got the original tornado warning here in effect for Medina and Wayne counties until 7:30.
You got me there. It's interesting. There are actually two different warnings here, two different parts. It's the same line. It's the same storm and control room. We can add Ashland to our lower third as well, just to make sure we have that information. There we go. Thank you. Oh, and Lorain, of course. Medina, Wayne, Ashland, and Lorain County. So there's a lot of counties right now, multiple counties under a tornado warning. And you look at this, these are two different boxes, but it's the same line. Now, we were tracking this line during our 6 o'clock newscast and saying, oh boy, that does not look good. Heavy rain, thunder, most likely some strong winds, even some hail, and the potential, we did mention the potential is there for a spin up. And what's happening a lot of times when you have a line like this, it's not like those classic hook echoes that we do get from time to time. We've had those. We had a few of them last year for sure. It's not that classic supercell hook echo. This is one big line of strong winds, heavy rain and thunder, and then along that main line we've got rotation. Sam mentioned increase in shear. What does that mean? That means winds shift directions as you get higher into the atmosphere, and that would lead to an increased chance of a spin up or a tornado. So there's the latest on the left cell. It's basically the same cell, but this is just the western part of it. And you can kind of see how that's kind of angling a little bit more west is something that we talked about. So we've got 5 counties right now under tornado warnings. Ashland, Lorain, and Medina, that until 8 o'clock. Well, actually 4, I should take that back because Medina's there twice. Wayne until 7:30. So there it is, Medina, Ashland, Lorain, and Wayne counties until 7:30 for the eastern side of the storm, until 8 o'clock for the western side of the storm. Let's zoom in, Sam, and see if we see anything on our velocity product. Let's get down to some communities here that we can really let know what's going on. There's Burbank. Definitely get to your safe spot in Burbank. We got a lot of lightning. West Salem, the worst weather right now is basically overhead a little bit to your north as this now nudges here just to the north into portions of Medina County. And again, the big deal here is this is Interstate 71 territory. So traveling down I-71, once you get south of that Route 18 exit heading down towards the Lodi 224 exit, and then moving towards the Route 83 where the outlet malls are, that exit, and then all the way back down into Wayne County. Not good tonight. Very low visibility, and where it's raining, where the rain starts, that's where we get concerned. There's 42 Pearl Road basically there as well. There's 71. There's the town of Burbank. There's Lodi again. Can't stress this enough. Lodi, Westfield Center, get to your safe spot right now as we speak. Also Chippewa, Chippewa Lake, the town of Homer, Chatham, this is western Medina County, and then even as you head into northern sections of Ashland County and then moving up into Lorain County as well on this warning. There is just enough based on our velocity product looking inside the storm that we might have some rotation there too. Let's take a look, Sam, at our debris tracker just to see. It looked a little ominous earlier. Things look a little cleaner right now. It's still not great. Again, what this will show us, we'll look for things that kind of stick out. It's a little noisy right now, a lot of noise down where the rain and the hail is. What this basically does is it's first alert Doppler's way of telling us something out there is not just rain. So you see all this maroon, that's just rain. But where you see the different colors, that's not rain. That's likely, could be hail, could be tree branches, could be dirt, could be leaves. And what we sometimes will see is debris, and we've seen that before. You can see just a little bit there and around the West Salem area, but frankly, nothing that jumps out at me. Sam, I don't know if you see something different, nothing that necessarily jumps out at me. We got, you have one there, but again, the leading edge is what we want to be looking at as far as where that rotation would likely be. There's Chippewa Lake, there's the town of Chatham, and again, smart to get away from windows and put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. Get down to a basement. If you don't have a basement, just get to an inner room. Something sturdy like a closet is a good idea, or even an inner bathroom. Get down into a bathtub, cover yourself up, cover your head always. Yeah, this is 204 on 71. So we've got exit 218, which is Route 18, and then exit 204 on 71. The strongest rotation is right there. There's the town. There is Burbank right there, and you can see Burbank right along Interstate 71. That's where the worst of it is right now. And this is all heading north as we speak. So, as I mentioned, these towns, especially west of downtown Medina, even as we head up into the Wellington area too. So let's track the eastern part of this storm. Here we go, again, moving north at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. You can see it moving. Now, the hope is, although, hey, we're in early May now. So a lot of times we're like, well, the sun is setting. We still have, some juice out there because it is early May and we are only 23 after 7. Friendsville here in the next 5 to 6 minutes. Lafayette, that's basically west here of Medina, 744. Mallet Creek, that's north. Abbeville, 804, and then on into Brunswick, 8:15. If this line were to hold together. Now, the western edge of this, which they both look about the same as far as their potential to produce a tornado, but they're two different tornado warnings. Let's go ahead and track kind of the leading edge here, Sam, and we can get a good idea of getting some town names on there as well as this storm continues to move itself from the south to the north through Wayne County, through Medina County, into Lorain County as well. Here's the latest track. Again, moving at about 25, 30 miles per hour to the north with a little bit a little bit of a western lean. So the town of Homer, time is up. Get to your safe spot. That's, I believe, far western Medina County. And then we're talking about Lorain County on into the Wellington area. We have a weather spotter there, Chuck Kastner. If he could give us reports, that would be great. He gives us great weather reports, 7:58, but do it safely. And then we head into Pittsfield there, closer to 8:14. And again, if you're in the storm's path, get to your safe spot, away from windows, and as many walls between you and the storm as possible. Get to the lowest point of your home. Turn up the audio. You know, we're streaming as well. It's a great way to get the information on your phone. Our First Alert weather app, we're streaming this coverage right now, as well as on our Facebook page, just so you have all the information, because we understand it might not just be from TV. We do live on YouTube as well. So again, wherever you are, we will be there for you no matter when either. We don't love to cut into programming at all, but in situations like this, where we've got a pretty large area for a possible tornado warning, we want to let you know what's going on. So we're at 7:25 right now, Medina, Ashland, Wayne, and Lorain under a tornado warning. Now, it's interesting with Medina because it's 2 different warnings, including for Medina. So the first one for Medina and Wayne is until 7:30, then the next one's until 8 o'clock. But, you know, basically, the danger is going to be there for Medina County through 8 o'clock. So that's probably the most important thing to take away from this. So there's downtown Medina. It's still in that polygon, but as I mentioned about 10 to 15 minutes ago, the trend here will be west. These storms will have a tendency just to do a little bit of this, more so than this. Just a little bit more trending to the west. The good news is Medina and east, you guys are fine. I mean, you're going to get a little rain most likely and some wind. But overall, the worst part of this storm here is right now moving its way through Wayne County into Medina County as we speak. Homerville, yeah, seek shelter right now. Good information there, Sam, with this possible rotation. And again, it is Doppler radar indicated rotation here, as well as just the amount of spin that's in the atmosphere with this line that really has been strengthening over the past couple of hours, right?
Yeah, and again, this is moving into an area where you've got more favorable shear, okay? So winds are rotating with height, and you don't want to see that. We have these big cold core upper lows this time of the year. We can get that potential for rotation. There's also some hail potential with these thunderstorms. So if that warning is issued for your location, you don't want to head outside. I know it's tempting. You want to see what's going on. But at this point in the day, it's starting to get just a tiny bit darker. And of course, we are going to be dealing with a lot of rain with these storms. So anything that would be out there most likely wrapped in rain. Okay, so it looks like they are going to, and when I say they, I mean the National Weather Service, they issue warnings. We do not. We just let you know when they're issued. They're going to let that tornado warning for Wayne County expire shortly. So if you're in Wayne County, I mean, I'm going to zoom out here. We can pretty much give you the all clear in Wayne County. So if you've been in your safe spot down in Wayne County, north of Worcester, I'm going to give you the all clear here. Again, we're most concerned with what's coming into Medina County. Now, down in Wayne County, I don't think you should be out on the roadways north of Congress because there's some very nasty weather. But that tornado threat has pretty much just moved into Medina County. Parts of Ashland County still under the tornado warning. So need to be in your safe spot. In Homer, in particular, very bad weather moving through there. Between Wellington, Penfield, and down to the south, 301, 162, those parts of Medina and Ashland counties, I would be in my safe spot now. Lowest level of your home, putting as many walls between yourself and the outside of your house as you can. You want to do that because research has shown that those exterior walls are the first to go in a tornado event. So if you're just joining us, again, that tornado warning, the newest one in effect for Medina County. Oh, that's the old warning. I don't know why that's still on there, but this most pertinent warning right now is the one for exclusively Medina County until 8 o'clock. Lodi, this storm and any potential rotation knocking on your back door now. I would already be in my safe spot there. Lowest level of your home, putting as many walls between yourself and the outside of your house as you can. Chatham, rotation to your south right now, but this is going to be coming in. I mean, this complex of storms, the whole line is moving north. and I'll track it for you again at about 25 miles per hour. Let's draw a new track. We're going to have to zoom out just a little bit here to give us some room. And again, this is moving due north at 25. So there you go. Couple of places where the storm is headed in your general direction. Strongsville, North Ridgeville, obviously not in the warning. This is still pretty far away from you, but it's just picking up. The computer system is picking up on any town that may be in here. And this can kind of get to be a little more rural south of Chatham and into Lodi. Westfield, I would also be in my tornado safe spot at this time.
All right, Sam, good stuff. We've dropped Wayne County from the warning because Wayne County is no longer under the tornado warning. All right, let's just recap here. 7:30, Chief Meteorologist Jason Nicholas here, along with meteorologist Samantha Roberts. Tornado warning in effect, Medina, Ashland, and tornado warning in effect for Medina, Ashland, and Lorain County until 8 o'clock tonight. And again, we don't want to be on the air. But in this particular case, this is the most important thing we do here as a television station, is to let you know about severe weather, and certainly our top priority in the weather office as well, especially when we talk about the potential for a tornado that will do damage on the ground here through Medina County, Ashland County, and Lorain County. All tornado warnings we take seriously, but especially when you talk about something like this where there's a lot of folks here in this area. So when we talk about Medina County, especially western Medina County, certainly getting a little bit farther north into Lorain County as well, and even through that portion of Ashland County too. So as we said earlier, this is really a large complex of storms, and it's a big line, basically going all the way from Barberton all the way back through Sullivan and west. So it's the leading edge of this line that many times can spin up tornadoes, and in this particular case, it is coming from a direction that we typically do not see tornadoes come from. We also do have, and they've covered this with a severe thunderstorm warning. Sam, I'm assuming that there most likely is a tornado possible tag on this particular severe thunderstorm warning.
Let's see here.
Medina, Stark, Summit, and Wayne, 8 o'clock. Well, if there isn't, there should be.
Yeah,
and again, with this line, you can get these spin-ups, especially when you talk about the shear that's in the environment, which is that spin as you get a little bit higher up into the atmosphere. There likely is a little bit of hail in this too. There's Akron, a little bit of hail. This part of the storm, less likely to produce a tornado, but it's not a 0% chance. So, we almost have to treat this, Sam, for portions of western Summit and also into much of Medina now, and even into Stark as potential tornado warnings, but for the most part we will focus on where the tornado warning that has been issued currently is. And again, we are really talking about western Medina County. So there's Chippewa Lake. Now downtown Medina, thankfully here, is out of the warning. Chippewa Lake is just on the edge, but certainly Litchfield, Chatham, Lodi, back towards Homer, and then eventually here, this is Lorain County, up into the Wellington area, right along Route 18. All right, so this storm really is going to cross Route 18 by 8 o'clock, maybe even a little bit before 8 o'clock. So where's the worst of the weather? Right where you get that leading edge and we get a little bit of spin right along it, as our reflectivity was showing. We were showing you our debris tracker earlier that didn't show you that much. Let's get another update on that, because sometimes that will be a really good indication of where we may have something brewing. And again, you get a lot of action here right on the leading edge, but we're not seeing much in the way of anything that would jump out at me that we've got debris on the ground. And again, this does a really good job of showing us where we could have a little bit of that, perhaps the grass or the trees or just anything that's not rain kind of spinning around on the ground. So we've got two different warnings here, but basically covering the same spots here. That's why we are on the air. And again, let's track a little bit here, Sam, where we've got that rotation, where we've got the spinner, at least the leading edge of this line coming through portions of Medina County. We can get these latest ETAs to folks, because that's really important as you're watching here in northern Medina County, in southern Lorain County, waiting to see what this storm will do. And remember, this is a little different with the way this storm is moving in. Normally we track stuff west to east, not tonight. Not last night, not tomorrow. It's mostly going to be coming, well, a little less tomorrow, but certainly last night and tonight, mostly coming in from the south and east. So let's go ahead and get some new ETAs here. There's Medina right there. There's Brunswick, technically not in the warning, but there's the track moving at still about 25, Sam, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Lafayette, 736 right now. That's Township. Litchfield, 748. LaGrange, that's 758. So that's just a little bit farther north, west of Brunswick along 303. Elyria here, Lorraine, okay. We'll see what happens there if this cell continues to stay together. Yes, Elyria, Lorraine, quarter after, 20 after 8, closer to 8:30 as you get closer to the lakeshore. I would expect, as this storm moves north, the weather all day along the lakeshore has been cloudy, cool, with some fog. It likely will have a harder time making its way north, maintaining its intensity. Now, down to the south, we had some sunshine. Temps were in the 60s, even some 70s. A little bit easier for this storm coming out of Columbus along I-70 to get a little bit more serious, and that's exactly what has happened. So that's the eastern side of this storm. And yeah, Spencer, seek shelter immediately. Right now, again, Doppler radar indicated tornado warning in effect. Medina, Ashland, Lorraine until 8 p.m. Spencer, seek shelter immediately. Again, away from windows, get to your basement, lowest floor of your home. So we're continuing to track this right there. It's a nasty looking line of rain, a lot of thunder, potentially even here some pea-sized or even dime-sized or up to quarter-size hail. We've had reports and actually eyewitness photos of quarter-size hail earlier this afternoon. We're not seeing too much of that there at this point, maybe a little bit over here, but overall, not a ton of hail with this. Can't rule out a little pea-sized hail, but frankly, we're not seeing too much of that on First Alert Doppler. This is really a wind, rain, thunder event and the potential for a little bit of that rotation as well. Let's go ahead and get this legend out of there. Thank you. There we go. The wider picture shows this is basically the only game in town right now, blowing through areas of southern Lorraine, western Medina County, and far northern Ashland County. Now, where you do see that grayish color, that could indicate a little bit of hail here as this moves north into western Medina and then eventually here crossing into the worst weather right now is arriving in southern Lorraine County. Now, so far, Cuyahoga County, nothing. We'll watch for it. Northern Medina, nothing. Northern Summit, we're okay. It's more along western Summit County, even far north. Well, Stark County now is basically the all clear there. The worst weather is out of there. So again, this is really a Medina, almost a Medina-Lorraine County storm, Sam, as we speak, perhaps far, far western Summit, but the rotation, at least the tornadic potential, is a little bit farther off to the east. So we're heading into Chatham, we're heading into LaGrange, perhaps even up towards the Clarksfield area too. There's Litchfield, Penfield. This right here is Route 18 coming out of Medina. Downtown Medina is over here. Route 18 kind of does a jog north and then heads directly off to the west. So there's Litchfield. There's Route 83 there coming north to south. That comes out of the Avon area all the way down and eventually crosses over I-71. But this is Route 18. If you live anywhere along Route 18 west of Medina, you know where that is. Bottom line is get to your safe spot. You've got about 5 to 10 to maybe 15 minutes until this stuff rolls in. And once it rolls in, you want to get to your safe spot. You don't want to wait. And again, it's just a good idea. We're in early May to have a plan with your family to know, hey, I'm under, you get the push alert from the app saying, hey, tornado warning, oh my God, what do we do? Have a plan. So, and even if you're not underneath a tornado warning, it's a good idea to get that plan for if you do go under a tornado warning at some point this spring or some point this summer. We have a presentation on our website too to make that easy. Just click on cleveland.com and then the weather tab, and then we have a first alert, basically safety guide and what to do, the differences between watches and warnings, where to go during a tornado warning, where to go if you're outside, all that good information. Damaging winds may come to the surface, yes, in Lafayette Township. No question there. Again, 50, 60 plus mile per hour winds easily. Now, they've trimmed this warning down a little bit there, Sam, to a really small area. It's just along that leading edge of that rain between Chatham and up towards the Wellington area. So again, we are talking about Route 18 in western Medina County and into portions of southern Lorraine County. That's where the storm is about to cross over again, as I mentioned, in the next 5 to maybe 10 to 12 minutes. That's where it's heading from the south. Sam, again, this is something that we talked about earlier. Doppler radar indicated. We don't take these any less seriously, but no confirmation, no ground truth on this as well. Now, the good news is for Ashland County, we can sound the all clear. The tornado warning has been allowed, or actually was canceled for Ashland County as this storm now is moving north. So now this is a Medina and Lorain County only tornado warning, and we're centered right on it as we speak. Medina and Lorain County tornado warning until 8 o'clock. We're coming up here on 20 to 8. Chief Meteorologist Jason Nicholas along with meteorologist Samantha Roberts here. We're breaking into our programming both on 19 and 43 and on all of our digital properties as well to bring you this information, breaking weather as we speak. Tornado warning in effect for Medina and Lorain counties. That is until 8 o'clock. And Sam, as I mentioned, we have not had confirmation yet. I mean, you're taking a look at the information that the National Weather Service puts out as far as the chat that has information from emergency management folks. Any type of information from the ground that we've heard yet?
Nothing on the ground yet, but I'm getting a ton of pictures on social media of just super ominous clouds, right? We call these SLCs, or scary looking thunderstorm clouds. And that's an indicator that if there is a tornado out there and it is making it down to the ground, it's most likely wrapped in rain.
That's
so
the worst.
You would hear it potentially, but you wouldn't be able to see it. And even if there is no tornado, there's definitely some damaging wind gusts. When we look at that velocity product or the wind product, where it's just a bunch of red and green touching, we're seeing a lot of strong wind gusts way high above our heads where the radar beam is scanning, right? And sometimes those winds end up mixing down to the surface, and then we get those damaging straight line winds. So the National Weather Service just reaching out to us to let us know they are continuing that tornado warning for west central Medina County until 8 o'clock tonight. So no change there, no report of a tornado on the ground, but a lot of ominous photos that lead you to believe that, yes, there may be something out there and we need to take this seriously and stay in your safe spot until the threat has passed.
Yeah, and what you mentioned is really important to think about too. Likely this tornado, I mean, we can tell by the pictures you're getting, we can tell by looking at the radar that it's rain wrapped. And it's likely, it could be one of those things where it bounces down, it comes down and then it goes back up, and then maybe it moves a little bit longer and then it comes back down. It could be one of those, hit and misses. And sometimes it could hit in the middle of the field, sometimes it could hit somebody's home. So that's why we're on the air. And again, rain wrapped adds an additional problem, because if you're, nowadays people want to take pictures, they want to go see it. You can't see this. And it is rain wrapped. So a wall of rain and wind comes your way, and embedded in that is a potential tornado. And at this point, it's better to be safe than sorry and treat it as is. And that's why we are on the air with two different areas that we're watching, basically telling the same story here. The leading edge of all this rain and all this wind right now is moving through western Medina County and also now moving into southern sections of Lorain County as we speak. Medina and Lorain County until 8 p.m. tonight due to this line of rain, which is basically now almost due west of Medina and coming out of Medina right along Route 18. This is what we've been talking about here. If you live west of Medina along Route 18, all the way basically between downtown Medina and say the Wellington area, just west of Wellington, right along 18, these are the areas, if you live north or south of that, 5-10 minutes, you definitely want to get to your safe spot. So it doesn't always set up to where there's a main road that kind of describes the danger area, but in this particular case, this is the situation. Again, this storm is moving from the south. Unusual, all because a big area of low pressure is centered down towards Louisville, Kentucky, southwest of Cincinnati, and it's basically spinning up these spokes of energy. And sometimes, as these outer bands make their way in, they can spin up just a little bit, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We do have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that does include Cuyahoga County now. That includes Greater Cleveland, it includes Parma, it includes the airport, Strongsville, North Royalton, Avon Lake, Lorain, Elyria. That goes until 8:45. And there's no reason to think that we can't get another tornado warning until 8:45 for those counties. None's been issued yet, but it's the same storm. So what the Weather Service is doing is being proactive and letting folks in these counties know that, hey, the weather's going to get a little bit rough for you here over the next hour. Right now it's about 7:45 almost, within 30 seconds from now. So this warning for severe thunderstorms, that's due to 60-mile-per-hour winds and potentially some small hail, that until 8:45. And with this, we cannot rule out a possible tornado. But when we talk about tornado warnings, a lot of times they're little cells like this. They're by themselves. They've got a little hook, and they look like something that would spin. In this particular case, it's one of those, the whole line could be producing spin-ups along it, weak spin-ups. So we're going to track the whole thing. Why not do that? That's a good idea. As this thing moves from the south to the north, speed is still about 25, 30, Sam.
Yes, 25.
25 miles per hour from the south heading north. Let's go ahead and get some towns here. LaGrange in the next 10 minutes. Florence, 8:08. Elyria still at about 8:20. That stayed pretty consistent. Lorraine about 8:30, slowed a little bit. North Olmsted, 8:27. So, you see these towns, it's like, whoa, we've got a lot of folks that live there into portions of western Cuyahoga and also into portions of Lorain County. But to be clear, the tornado warning is only for those areas. And the good news is, I think we've seen enough now where the data is showing that the rotation may be diminishing a bit, Sam, and the tornado warnings will be canceled momentarily. Did I see that correctly?
Yes.
Are they currently canceled?
Yeah, they're going to cancel it now. It's done, the warning for Medina County. And now as these storms move north, and Jason's been talking about this, the environment is a little bit less favorable for that kind of thing up in Cleveland. Not impossible in northern Lorain or in Cuyahoga County, but less favorable, so that tornado threat beginning to diminish and all warnings currently canceled. That's
what we were just speaking about, right? We talked about it earlier during our newscast. The air along the lake shore today was cooler, it was cloudier, it was foggy, basically foggy almost all day. So these storms may be running really good, and then they basically encounter this. It's like driving through a lake effect snow event. You're going along with the sunshine, then all of a sudden you have to slam your brakes. These storms were doing great, and then they hit the lakeshore, at least a little bit of the air associated with the lakeshore, and have really diminished. Sam, let's go ahead and get one more look at this just to make sure before we go off the air. We hate going off the air and then coming back on. We'll do it if we have to. I just want to make sure that everything looks okay before we go back to programming. I just want to let you know, when we do go back to programming, we will be watching what's going on very carefully. And I'm assuming we're going to continue our weather show over obviously on 43 until 8 o'clock. So if you'd like more of this, we're over on Cleveland's 43 during our first alert focus show. That goes until 8 o'clock. So more information there as this line continues to push off towards the north. So we will send our folks back on WOIO, back to regular programming, and we will continue our coverage here on Cleveland's 43 during our first alert focus show. The good news is tornado warnings are now canceled. We do have a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings out there though, Sam, and you can see them basically Cleveland out towards Sandusky as this line continues to march north here. So we've got a good amount of severe thunderstorm warnings out there to speak of, but thankfully the tornado warning that we've been dealing with is no longer in effect. So we've gone ahead and gone back to regular programming over on 19, and now we are just on 43. Sam, lot going on there.
There is a lot going on with this area of low pressure, basically situated right over the Ohio Valley. And since we don't have any current tornado warnings, I'll zoom out so you guys can see exactly what we're talking about. See that spin off to our west? And I apologize for any graphics delay here. This computer's been working really hard today, so it's starting to get a little bit slow. But southwest of us, southwest of Ohio, you see that spin there? That's the area of low pressure that's been plaguing us basically for days and giving us these gloomy conditions and that severe threat. The system will move over us tomorrow, so we have one more day of rain and clouds and just kind of persistent gloom out there, and then by Wednesday it moves away and things will really start to improve for us. So here's our current severe thunderstorm situation. the warning for Cuyahoga, Erie, Lorain, and Medina County. That's the newest warning, Jason, in effect until 8:45. So a little ways to go on that one.
Yeah, you know, we look at this. So a lot of times in our careers here, Sam, we've been tracking a long tornado warning for a half hour, 45 minutes. They cancel it, and then all of a sudden, within 5 minutes, I tell everyone, I go, we may have to go back on the air. So we're hoping that's not going to happen because, you know, I think, again, you and I kind of talked about it, that as these storms encounter a little less favorable environment, you know, and by the way, the environment wasn't all that favorable to begin with. We were under what was a slight risk, maybe a moderate risk, or a marginal risk west. We had no watches, not for tornadoes. We had a severe thunderstorm watch, but you know, the environment wasn't all that great to begin with. And then now, as this storm is kind of moving through Medina County, it is weakening a little bit, at least the part that would cause the spin up of a tornado. But I still can't say that that threat is gone until this storm makes its way a little closer to the lakeshore. We've got a lot of heavy rain. We've got, you know, not a lot of hail in there, though I wouldn't throw the chances out of hail. But there's LaGrange, there's Strongsville. You guys are up next, about to get pounded here, really with most likely some low visibilities, right? I mean, we're talking about very heavy rains, most likely some standing water on the roads. Areas that typically flood when it rains a lot in your area, if you're underneath in this cone, it's going to probably be that way. LaGrange here in the next 8 minutes. Brunswick a little bit after 8 o'clock. Elyria 8:20 to 8:25. All right, Avon 8:37. Lorain 8:38. So this is going to make it to the lake shore at about 20 to 9, and by then it will likely be just some heavy rains and maybe a little thunder, a few areas of some gusty winds, but that would be pretty much about it, Sam, on this thing. So any rotation that we've got to watch, I really don't think we have. We haven't really had that classic rotation anyway throughout the evening, other than it just being kind of on that main line with the increased shear. Not seeing too much of that. Remember, we've got that little bug there too, so just kind of move it down. There we go. LaGrange is there. Medina's getting some wind. Nothing overly substantial. A lot of thunder here into southern sections of Lorain County. A lot of thunder in western Medina County, even nudging its way into portions of Huron County too. Getting a lot of rain, a lot of thunder south and east of Norwalk, due south of Florence. And it's right along that leading edge within about 5 minutes from when it starts raining, where you might get that spin up of what could be a tornado. And again, to be clear, tornado warnings have been canceled. Doesn't mean they're canceled forever. Frankly, I don't trust a couple of things. One of those, Sam, being the atmosphere tonight. But you know, as this gets a little farther north, we get better news certainly here on these warnings until 8:45, until this stuff clears across our western county. So we'll continue to watch what's going on there. A little funky storm out towards the Sandusky area, kind of by itself. Has that been warned?
Yeah, so this one's also warned. It's so interesting. Obviously, given the setup with the low, everything is going to be moving in a different direction than it generally does. But just to see stuff consistently moving west and northwest is not the direction that we're used to seeing our storms move in, right?
We're drawing some cones that we've probably never drawn in Cleveland before tonight. I'll be honest there. I mean, just normally when we track severe weather, it's coming in from the west. You know, it might have a little southwesterly to northeast or northwesterly to southeast. But Sam, to draw these basically due, you know, south to north cones is really interesting. Got a lot of flooding out there too.
Yeah, a lot of flooding. I'm going to just adjust this graphic really quick so everybody can see what's going on. We've been tracking these flood alerts all day, and now of course we're in kind of a fluid situation, right, where things are changing and new advisories are being issued. So this is a new flood advisory. It just came down for Huron County, Richland, Ashland, Lorain, Crawford County, Medina, and Wayne County. So obviously a lot of slow-moving storms today. There are going to be some standing water issues, so that flood advisory is in effect until 11 o'clock. Okay, so if you're going to be on the roadways across any of those counties, all these bright greens.
Take a break and then come back?
The really bright green that you see, Worcester and South, that's a river flood warning, but the kind of tealy green color there, I would watch for standing water, Jason, in those areas.
Yeah, very good. Control room did say we had a break to take.
Okay.
Should we take that break, control room, or should we stay on? Let me know. We'll stay on. I mean, we have 7 more minutes. That's fine with me because we do have severe thunderstorm warnings to talk about, and it's important to get that information out as well. So there's Medina to Elyria to Norwalk up towards Sandusky. You can see this huge area of a severe thunderstorm warning. It's not a tornado warning, but it's close. And we almost, with this environment, you almost have to treat it as such. A lot of heavy rain. I think we have some hail in there too, perhaps some pea-sized hail, although it'll fall out pretty quick. And you can see the general trend here is not so much due south to north. It's a little bit of that little curve off to the west there. So the worst of the weather will likely move into Lorain County, Erie County, Huron County as well. Flood advisory in effect for several Ohio counties. We may even get a flash flood warning out of this thing too. I don't like, all the rain in Medina County. Now, the only saving grace here is things moving pretty quick, 20, 30 miles per hour. So it doesn't sit over one area with a whole bunch of rain, but we're going to have some high water problems. Again, as I said earlier, those areas in your town or your community or your commute that always, when it rains a lot, always flood or always have a lot of standing water. Tonight's probably one of those nights where that area or that little road that you normally take that gets flooded or at least has high water, we'll probably have it tonight. And as the sun sets, we always say it's important to not ever drive through standing water, even if someone else tries to do it. Don't do it because sometimes that water can fluctuate quickly and it only takes a few inches of rushing water to obviously knock you off if you're trying to walk through it, and a little bit more to drive your car through it. If you can't see the road, find another way. Typically 99% of the time there is another way. We don't want to report on folks getting stranded out there. So there's your warning. Till 8:45, Cuyahoga, Erie, Lorain, and Medina. I want to give you a heads up that if things turn a little bit crazy again and we get any more tornado warnings, we'll of course be on the air like we always are. We were the first ones on, I believe, we were during our 7 o'clock newscast, so obviously we were. We will let you know on both 19 and 43. Flood advisory in effect, but right now only severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado warnings at this point here across northern Ohio. It is a 19 first alert weather day. That's why we issued the alerts. We saw the data earlier today. Meteorologist Andy Chillian said, you know what? Things look a little rough. Data changed a little bit from last night and this morning from the stuff we got this afternoon, and it was pointing to potentially a little bit of a rocky time. 60 mile an hour per wind potential right now coming into LaGrange, yes, and there could even be right there a little bit of hail moving out of far western Medina County and moving eventually here, crossing over 303 between Brunswick, Hinckley's over here, Brunswick and LaGrange. We could have some hail there, Sam, as well.
Yeah, I'm watching this on a couple of different radar screens here. We're always watching on our phones and on the computers as well. We just want to be sure that we can see what's going on. And there may be that potential for some large hail around the Wellington area. So as Jason mentioned, this would be lifting north into LaGrange. Also Wakeman, Kipton, Oberlin, just some areas where we may be seeing that hail potential increasing within the next little while. I want to pull up really quickly. Sorry if the picture drops out. I just want to see if we can see anything on our Oberlin camera. Wow. Look at the sky.
Explain very briefly, this is nothing right here. It looks like it's something, but it's nothing.
Yeah, right.
But that is a nasty looking sky. That is in Oberlin looking off to the west and southwest there, and you can see, boy, that is an ominous look, and that's what a lot of folks are dealing with here tonight across northern Ohio, Sam.
Yeah, you see these really rain-loaded clouds out there, so these are producing a ton of precip, which means, and we've been stressing this all evening, that if there were to be a tornado, you wouldn't be able to see it just given everything that's going on. But here's your severe thunderstorm warning, Jason.
All right, well, the good news is no tornado warnings. If that changes, of course, Sam and I will let you know. I'll be here all night, and hopefully we don't have to come on the air again, but if we do, we, of course, will be there for you. For meteorologist Sam Roberts, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jason Nicholas. Have yourself a safe evening.